welcome to Lifelong Learning Education. My name is Dr. Trina Boice, and thank you so much for visiting my little channel. And thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I really appreciate it. So today I have a special guest whose name is Liz Bull, and she is a diet-free weight loss specialist. Doesn't that sound good? Welcome, Liz.
Hi, Trina. It's so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, diet-free sounds awesome, especially because I am currently on a diet. I think I gained 10 pounds during this quarantine. You know, everybody's reaching for comfort food, and I was cooking up a storm and baking goodies, and all of that has come to an end because I've got to get the weight off. Tell us what you do and how you do it, because you have some unique approaches.
I do. That is correct. Most weight loss programs that are out there that people are used to, I call them, the outside in approach. It's do this, don't do that, count this, resist that, don't eat this, don't eat that. It's crazy making, or worse, there's some kind of, special pills, or there's, food that you order that comes, it tastes like the cardboard it came in, but you go, oh, well, it's in this program, so I guess I have to eat it. I'm the opposite. I'm completely opposite. I take an inside out approach. My view is that weight is not the problem. Weight is simply a symptom of what's not working in your body. So that's where I go. And I do have an engineering background, so I will do things in a very logical, methodical way, kind of process of elimination. Let's look at this, let's look at that, let's look at, and we go down the list of all of the myriad of things that could be causing the weight to be on your body. Now, some of them are physical, chemical, and what I find with the people I work with, who are mostly people who have quite a lot of weight to lose, usually it's emotional. They're and in fact, everything, this is demonstrated over and over again now. Dis-ease literally has emotional roots of one sort or another. There's some trauma, there's something that happened somewhere that later on down the line manifests in your body as some kind of symptom that's unpleasant, shall we say. And weight is like that as well. Yeah. So I go there, and as I'm a medical intuitive, I'm a master healer, I'm also a certified hypnotist. So I bring all of these things together, to kind of get underneath the underneath, as it were, to determine the real reasons for the weight, and then we work at that so that the weight has no reason to be there anymore, and then it just goes without counting anything. No restrictions, no. If I see another piece of celery, I think I'm going to kill somebody. It's like, so the addiction, all of the addictions and all that go by the wayside, and the inflammation goes as well, because a lot of times it's not so much fat as it is inflammation that they're dealing with, which sets up a whole bunch of nasty side effects in and of itself. And people don't understand why. I can't sleep, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's inflammation that they're dealing with. Yeah.
I've been reading a ton about inflammation and how it does trigger all of these other problems, but they're really more symptoms of the inflammation rather than we might think that's the issue, but it's the inflammation that's triggering it. I think that's really fascinating. Yes. Let me ask you about when you said you are an intuitive. We have a lot of nurses and teachers that watch this channel especially, and tell us, especially for the nurses that might want to incorporate this in their practice, tell us what that's all about and how you got started.
Well, it's a natural ability, number one. A lot of people, especially women, I find, are quite intuitive. It's the kind of thing where you just go, well, the kid's being a little too quiet, something right? That's intuition. That is intuition, flat out, right? And women tend to have a lot more of it than men do. Men, to an extent too, but I think it's really more pronounced in women, and that's partly brain chemistry too. The way we are literally hardwired. We tend to operate more on basal right, and they're the ones. We're the ones who just have this crazy intuitive ability, and also, we notice everything, absolutely everything. We worry about everything. We notice everything, and I think the vast majority of basal rights are women. That's it. So there's that piece. There's a natural ability. I've always had that. I've always known things I had no reason in the world to know that I knew, but I would be right on the money. And then with all of my training as a healer, that brought it along even further.
Yeah, I think that that's amazing. And here at Lifelong Learning Education, we have a lot of courses to help people professionally and personally. And my twin sister and I created it. And we are always open-minded and looking for new ways of solving problems and learning. And so I'm very open to other types of health and healing modalities. In Western medicine, they would just say, oh, she's a little cuckoo, or, that's not traditional, that must not work. But Liz, actually, just so you all watching know, she did a little session with me on the phone, about a month or so ago before we did this interview. So I could kind of experience it. And it was fascinating. She did a lot of different things where Western medicine would just say, what? Especially because it was over the phone. She had me working with muscle tests and magnets and, of course, verbally talking about things. But it was super interesting. So is that what you do with your clients? The same process you did with me?
Very similar with my weight loss clients, like I said, because I've got this whole engineering thing in my background. First is like looking at, okay, so how long has this been going on? When did it start? What have you done so far? What medications are you on? Looking at the nuts and bolts part, and then dealing with using applied kinesiology to kind of step people through a process of eliminating or identifying what are they putting in their mouth right now that may be causing inflammation. I always deal with the inflammation first and see how that goes. And a lot of times, I had a guy one time, Bill was his name, and Bill had gained a bunch of weight. He'd suffered an injury, and he had been a tennis player, and all of a sudden he had a lot of weight. Couldn't get it off. He tried everything, couldn't get it off. He calls me up. Fine. So just doing an inventory with him of what he was putting in his mouth. This is crazy. This is just stuff, but it will tell you how important it can be to really monitor what you're ingesting and what the effects are. So we looked at, so Bill, what are you eating for dinner? Okay, so Bill would have a gin and tonic, then he would eat, what anybody would say would be a reasonable meal, and he would have red wine for dinner. So, and there was one other thing he was doing. Oh yeah, peanut butter. It was peanut butter. So I went through and we tested everything. Well, it turned out that Bill's body did not test well for grains and peanut butter. So I said, Bill, so maybe you can substitute almond butter. Let's test that and see if it works. Yeah. And Bill, how would you feel about having a red wine before dinner instead of that gin and tonic? He says, well, I'm down with that. Presto Shazam, the weight's gone. Nice. Just that little tweak. So sometimes, there's emotional stuff. And with many of my clients, it is, and the worse the trauma, the worse the weight problem usually, and sexual abuse being the worst, which was my mother's story. My mother was morbidly obese. She died from the effect of morbid obesity, as a matter of fact. And I did not find out until many, many years later that she had been sexually abused by her brother.
Oh.
So it made no sense. My brother's an MD, and my brother and I at one point put my mom on a supervised fast. She lost the weight. She regained every last bit of it, because underneath was this notion that it was not safe for her to be thin and attractive. It simply wasn't safe because of all of that past trauma. So there you go.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I've always heard that dieting and weight loss and all of that isn't so much about what's going in your mouth. Of course, that's true, but it's also what's going in your head, and that's the place to start, I think. So, talk to me about hypnotherapy because you and I didn't do that part of it. And I'm assuming that addresses really the mentality, the mindset of where you are. True?
It does, and actually a part of that is getting into a relaxed state. I mean, hypnosis is, I mean, we hypnotize ourselves all the time, quite frankly. You know, if you've ever been driving down the road and suddenly realized you had no recollection of having passed that particular gap, you hypnotize yourself. You know, it's being in that super relaxed state where you can, you know, make a positive suggestion. Damn, everything changes.
Yeah, when I was
You know?
back in college as an undergraduate, I remember taking a psychology class, and the teacher said I could get extra credit. I mean, everybody in the class could get extra credit if we went to this grad student's office to get hypnotized and then wrote a little paper about it. And I was like, okay. I mean, I was all about extra credit. So anyway, I went over there and I was very, very skeptical, as most people are. And I sat down and he got the old clock out, you know, the what you see in the movies, you know, the little
Oh,
clock
yeah.
hanging on the chain, and started going like that. And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, no, so nothing's happening. Because I thought I was going to do like in the movies, just be, oh, you know,
Oh, yeah.
really be out. And then he would tell me stuff, you know. Anyway, and he's like, some people are resistant because, I mean, here I was, a young single girl in a guy's office, and I didn't know him. And I'm sure there was a part of me that was saying, you're not going to just let this guy, you know, hypnotize you, do whatever. Anyway, it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, there is, and I mean, there's so many preconceptions about hypnosis because of stage hypnosis, which is really kind of entertainment.
Right.
This is not to say it's not real, but you know, they are doing things for audience effect. So, you know, can we make you cluck like a chicken? Okay. You know,
Right. Yeah.
yes, you know, you can do that, absolutely. But that, I mean, who wants to be made a fool of? Not too many people, really.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very different approach, and there are a lot of different ways. It's called the induction, that portion. That's called the induction, and there are other ways of doing it. You know, you can ask someone to simply sit quietly in a chair or lie down and close their eyes, and you know, kind of focus on one thing until the muscles relax in the eyes, and then eventually, you know, it's getting into a completely relaxed state. That's really the bottom line, is to get into a completely relaxed state, so that then, you know, positive images can be introduced into the mind, and the mind is more receptive. But not everyone can be hypnotized. Some people are extremely resistant to it.
Right. Yeah. Like me. Well, can you give us a few very simple tips of things that we can do when we are trying to lose weight? Exercises that maybe you do with your clients, or just other little tips to help us shape that mindset so that we can help our bodies, I don't know what I'm trying to say, cooperate with our new eating lifestyle.
There we go. Okay, we got it now. So I actually wrote a whole book on that. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I wrote a whole book. It's available on Amazon. It's the itty bitty series. I thought was brilliant. You know, everybody has the, you know, books for dummies.
Right.
Right. So, and then everybody highlights in the books for dummies, right? These are the highlights. So, because nobody reads the whole book for dummies. So these are the highlights. So this is actually 15 key steps to a body that you love, right? And I'll read you the introduction, because basically it's saying, you know, diets fail 97% of the time. 97% of dieters regain all the weight in less than 3 years, and then they blame themselves for it. And they really shouldn't, and neither should you, so that's it. So I look at things like, for example, I talk about why diets don't work. They don't work. Part of the reason they don't work is because diets literally set up a starvation response in your body. They make your body think it's starving. And your body is all about protecting you. So what happens was when your body thinks it's starving, it's going to hold on to the fat because it doesn't want you to die.
Right.
Yeah. So
and I think women also, because we are designed to have babies, our body wants to have us have extra cushioning so that our baby is protected, whether we're pregnant or not. That's just something that was built into us, from the very beginning, right?
Yeah, no, we have curves for a reason. We do. We absolutely do. The other thing is to realize that diets cause stress. The act of dieting itself raises cortisol levels. And if your cortisol levels are elevated, you're not going to lose the weight. So it's kind of like, that's cruel. That's so mean, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Toxins are another thing that you absolutely need to eliminate because fat will encapsulate toxins. So if you're taking a lot of crap in, you're going to have a hard time losing weight simply because of that, because you need the fat to help you counteract the effect of the toxins. That's it.
That's true. And a lot of times people think, oh, I can't eat fat because fat is bad, but you actually need to consume some healthy fats because those healthy fats can help break down the food and metabolize the food and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So then the next thing, step 3 that I talk about is emotional toxins. So that's the hidden hurts and traumas that we get to. And a lot of people literally bury these in fat. And a lot of these come before even the age of 5, very early on stuff. And very often, my clients tend to be perfectionistic, or they come from families where there were a lot of rules and regulations, and it was never okay for them to be themselves. Lots and lots of rules. It's like, you are not okay. Or they were the parent to the parent. So a lot of them are the firstborns, and they ended up parenting the parent. So that happens a lot. Fear is another thing. Fear is a key player in keeping you fat. Can be fear of scarcity, fear of being attacked, fear of being too sexy is a big one, or becoming weak and dying, or fading away. And sometimes this is generational stuff. If there's a family history of deprivation or hard times, very often that will translate into fat. Can't get enough, there's never enough for me. Or people who grew up in large families, where if you didn't eat fast, you weren't going to get enough. That kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, fear that has pervaded the world during this pandemic. I think that I've read statistics that the average person has gained weight during this quarantine because of the fear of the unknown. How long is this going to last? Am I going to get it? Is my loved one going to get it? Is the economy going to collapse? We have had so many fears surrounding us since March that a lot of people are really struggling. So I'm so glad you're here with us today to give us some tips.
Yeah, that's true. And that's one of the reasons when I started doing my Wednesdays at 1 on Facebook, standing firm when the world is shaking.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons, is to kind of address that. So I've been having guests on for about 15 minutes, and then I finish the half hour, 30-ish minutes with a guided meditation to calm down people's nervous systems. Yeah, it's totally free. Hop on if you'd like. It's been very, very well received. So yeah, it's about calming down the system, because people are doing a lot of self-soothing, and food is chemical information for the body, and That is absolutely what it does. And particularly sugars, because that is an instantaneous soother. It's like it hits that part of the brain that goes, ooh,
Exactly. That's my big weakness for sure.
I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling better. So the other thing is anger. Anger also plays a major role in weight, because a lot of times anger gets stuffed, eaten and stuffed. If it's never been safe for you to express your anger in a legitimate way, and not get punished for it, that sort of thing, people will literally eat anger. It's like, that sort of thing. You want to bite somebody's head off, but let's see, the Hershey's bar is closer. Let me do that, or let's reach for the.
Hear a lot of people watching this and hearing you say, yes, I probably fit in all of those categories that you just said. Give us one actionable item if we fall under any of those scenarios that you just gave us. What is one thing that we can actually do to combat some of that? Let's say it's anger, for example.
Okay, so I'll give you two.
Great.
One, because anger builds up tension and cortisol levels, right? So here we go again. It's all about the cortisol levels being raised one way or the other, either through fear, through anger, through tension, all that sort of thing.
And that's what I eat for crunchy snacks.
Oh yeah, that's the adrenaline thing. Yeah, absolutely. And there are categories too, but the first one is something I call the Occipital Hold. And you can try this with me, Trina. Okay. So what you do, you're going to make a panini out of your head. So you're going to
in front and back?
Yeah, you're going to press forward here across your forehead, and then I'm going to turn sideways. You're going to, this curved part, the back is called the occiput. So you're going to press forward with this one and backward with the front one. So you're kind of like pretending your head's a panini, right?
I love paninis. Now I want to eat a panini.
No, but you do. So you just do that and just literally hold that until you start to feel your system go.
Well, I could be here all day waiting.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. It helps.
Stop talking, Trina.
And breathe. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth as if you're blowing out through a straw. That's the second part of this. In through your nose, hold for a moment, like you're blowing out through a straw. And you'll start to feel things calm down. It may take, a few minutes, but you will get there. In through your nose, out through your mouth, like you're blowing out through a straw.
You know what I'm feeling as we're doing that is almost like a mother's cradle, like sometimes when children have a tantrum, if the mother just gives them that little bear hug and calms them, they might struggle for a few minutes and then they kind of calm down. That's kind of what that feels like, that comforting, reassuring hug, kind of. Yeah. Okay, all right.
So I just changed it. I'm going to give you 3 instead of 2. So the second one is literally, I don't know if you can see here, is I'm going to stand up, just rubbing your upper arms.
Like a hug.
Like a hug. Yeah, literally rubbing your upper arms slowly. And you can kind of talk to yourself saying, oh, I've got you. Oh, you're the best. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, you're wonderful. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. It's okay. You're safe. You're safe. I'm safe. You can literally tell yourself, that you're safe, because in that moment you are safe. The boogeyman is somewhere, but he's not in your house, so you can do that, right? So that's the second thing that you can, and it literally will calm your system down and you can say, I am safe. In this moment, I am safe. There it is. Now, the third one is totally crazy, but I love it. And it's something that I teach all my clients, to do this at least once a day, to like watch a funny movie, watch a video, something like that makes you laugh. But there is this thing called laughter yoga, right? And so what you do is like out of the blue, for no particular reason, you go,
It's very contagious.
And you just,
That's good. I like it. That's simple.
it's easy. You can do it anywhere, anyhow. And, people around you initially will kind of look at you like, really? And then they'll start to laugh too. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, it's definitely contagious. And
is,
one thing I try to do, because people will ask me, how do you stay up and positive? And I'll actually, when I'm working at my desk, not every hour, but when I think of it, I'll try to take a quick break and watch some really dumb YouTube video that makes me laugh, or look at Facebook memes, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good again. And then I get back to work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my point. That's exactly my point. Yeah. And I think it was Norman Cousins who literally cured himself of some god-awful disease years ago. He would watch, I think it was Marx Brothers movies or something like that. He would binge watch them and cured himself.
Laughter is the best medicine.
It is. It really, really is. So I completely recommend it. It's like, do something crazy. Do something crazy. Watch crazy stuff. Just laugh for no reason. Laugh for no reason.
I love it. All right.
It moves stuff in your body. It gets the circulation going. It relaxes you. And that's exactly what you need. It's
internal aerobics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, before we go, I want to make sure that you tell everybody that you have some free gifts for them. If they go onto your website, which is written up here above me, tell them what they can get.
I have a free ebook that you can get. In that case, I think it's the 10 biggest, fattest weight loss lies ever. And I have smoothie recipes. So just go click on the right box and it'll be sent to your mailbox and for download. The other thing that you can get is a complimentary session with me, a blueprint session with me. You can click on that link and that will grab you a spot on my calendar, and that's no obligation to see what's up for you and what your next step might be.
Yeah, I love that, because when you click on it, it'll show you a calendar and options. And so you pick the schedule that works best for you, and she'll just chat with you and see if you guys are a good fit. Well, Lynn,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for spending time with me and with all of us and teaching us a little bit. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Trina. I hope we get to do it again sometime. This is great fun.
And by the way, if you haven't yet, be sure and click down below, subscribe, and you'll also see a funny little bell shape. Click on that and that will notify you every time I upload a new video to this channel. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day and remember to keep learning. Bye for now.
Bye for now.